me just say hello to all the new people. If you're new here and you don't know me, I'm Paige. I'm an energy healer and a channel. And I've been connecting with the spirit world since 1995. And specifically connecting with galactics since about 2018, I'd say. Since before then, but not with as much intention. So I guess it probably goes back to about 2004, really, but they really started coming in much more strongly around 2018, 2019. And if you've attended the Metatron channelings, then you have experienced galactic energy because they were here, I think, pretty much all along. We would have lots and lots of beings joining us, and it was always about 50% angels of various types and about 50% galactics. So you've definitely already received a lot of galactic frequency if you've done those, and you would have received it through the recordings as well. So if you listen to those on YouTube. So the difference now is we aren't going to have the angels with us tonight. We're just going to have galactics, and it'll be interesting to see how many of them show up and what groups are with us. There's a lot to say about galactics, and we really don't have time to go into all the things that I could say. I did make a series of YouTube videos recently because of that, to be able to give people a little bit of background and understanding of galactic beings, also from my perspective. Because if you're looking online, you get one story and you hear a lot about disclosure, which is wonderful, and I loved the movie. I'll just throw that in there. The galactics were not portrayed in a negative way, which I thought was wonderful. So I highly recommend seeing Disclosure. But there's also just been the topic of disclosure that's been out there for a long time, about information that's been withheld from us, and then there's all kinds of other stuff out there if you get into like looking at alien stuff, right? There's all kinds of just the full spectrum of things. So I have never really been into that stuff. I was never an alien person. I talk about that in the videos. I'm really not even that much of a sci-fi fan. Not a Trekkie, none of that. So this all came to me in a different way. It came really because I was connecting to all kinds of other beings. So going way back, I connected to a lot of angels. I used to connect to, who are the primary ones that were coming through for? Lots of nature spirits along the way. Just lots of different things along the way. But probably when I started channeling, I was connecting mostly to Seth, Cryon, Isis, Gaia, and others who would come through. And then it slowly just shifted into more and more galactic beings. And the galactics have a very different energy. Very, very different energy. So when they start coming in, things start to shift. The frequency that galactics bring is much higher frequency. It's much more refined. And it isn't something that you've often felt before because it's not present here on our planet. We don't, we kind of are in our own energetic soup here on the planet, right? Of the energy of the planet, energy of humanity. And that's shifting slowly, and we're always receiving energy from off the planet, but the galactics they bring something different, and each galactic group is unique. And I talk about all of that in the videos. I highly recommend watching those. They're on my YouTube channel. So the Metatron recordings, or the Metatron sessions, were always about bringing in specific frequencies, and I would read those frequencies to you each time. And those frequencies were about meeting us where we were in the moment and whatever was needed in that moment for humanity in this massive change that we had been in. And as I mentioned before, they said that as of June of this year, those meditations were no longer needed because we're completing that process. I've talked about that a good bit in my energy updates. So if you're interested in that bigger story, you can watch those. So you always get, as an individual, you always get benefit by listening to these, by sitting and being an anchor for these energies. So when we would work with Metatron and those frequencies, everyone who was here participating would receive the frequencies and would become like a little individual anchor for those within the field of humanity. And then they would spread. They would spread to other people. They would spread to the environments that you interact with. They would spread just through the field of humanity, because we had all these little anchors. So that's how that would work. What we're doing here is going to be very similar. It's about the collective, but each individual will benefit. So if you're receiving the frequencies here, you're going to benefit. And if you listen to the recording after the fact, you're going to benefit. But ultimately, the intention is to use the individuals as a way to shift the collective in a positive direction, right? This is a positive influence. So they're supporting us in one way or another. So really not that different from what we were doing in the Metatron channelings, but we'll be interacting with different beings, and we'll have probably different beings bringing through the message in each one of these sessions. So today is a bit of a special day because it is also the solstice, the summer solstice, today to tomorrow, which is pretty exciting. There's something really interesting about the summer solstice period, solstices and equinoxes, when you're talking about the Earth's energy. And this comes from the work of Rory Duff, who did some really wonderful, wonderful work. I'll put his name in the chat here. He's unfortunately no longer with us, but he did a lot of research on the Earth's energy lines. He would actually go out and measure them, and it's just fascinating. So you can look at his work on YouTube. And he would also study the points where those lines cross, the nodal points. And he would find that at the times of the solstices and equinoxes, those nodal points were harmonizing to one another. It was actually, they did studies on these in the shape of the nodal point, like the toroidal field of that nodal point would shift during that period. And it would happen across the planet at all of these points, which is really pretty amazing if you stop and think about it. It's a moment where all the energy harmonizes. So it's kind of like 4 times a year we get this resetting and harmonizing effect, which I would imagine keeps our planet stable, right? Because you could have something building up on one side versus the other side, and just different pockets of things, frequency and energy, and then it all harmonizes and spreads around the planet. So we are in that window now of harmonizing. So of course, the Galactics are going to take advantage of that tonight, and I'm hoping we'll get a little more information about that in the channeling. We'll see. They have told me, and I'll just throw this out there, in addition, there was back in 2017, I think it was 2016, 2017, I was looking at that work quite a bit, watching his videos and whatnot, and asking lots of questions about it. And they told me at the time that there was a window around the actual moment of the solstice, and it was 18 hours before and 18 hours after. So we had actually a 36-hour window of time when this harmonizing effect was taking place. So it isn't super, super compressed. We've got a nice little window there. Oh, hey, Pern, Maureen. So if you all have questions, feel free to go ahead and put those in the chat before we go any further. And I am curious to know how many of you have watched the film Disclosure Day. If you want to put that in the chat, that would be great to see also. And I do know who is going to be joining us tonight with the message, so I'll share that in just a minute. Maria has, good. Elle's seen it. Anyone else? Tiffany, good. You really liked it, so did I. Esther watched it last Sunday. Kelsey hasn't seen it yet. It's very family friendly, by the way, so you can take kids. Debbie has not. Carol has. Davika loved it. Good. Good. So, Debbie, where do you find it? It's still in the theaters, so you can't stream it yet. Yeah. You actually have to go to the movie theater. which is a different experience these days. I went and I was one of and this was opening weekend, and I was one of maybe 15 people in the theater. And that was an evening show, opening weekend. It's just not the same. But it was fun to see it in the theater. And Davika saw it with her daughter. Nice. Yeah. Okay, well, that's good to see. Oh, your theater was full. I have heard of other full theaters. I guess it just depends on where you are. I'm in North Carolina in a fairly small town, so Glenn has too. Good. This is good. I'll just say again, I really encourage everyone to go out and see it. It's a good film in general, so it's enjoyable to watch, but a good message as well, and a real emphasis on empathy. Okay, so tonight we have, so no questions, I guess. I don't see any questions. Again, if you have questions as we go, just pop them in there. Oh, Disclosure Day is the movie we're talking about. The one dealing with galactic beings, otherwise known as aliens, who we're going to be working with tonight. So, what they don't get into much in the film about the aliens, right? It's just they're kind of referencing what we don't know the whole time. Yeah, not a documentary. It is a good story. Yeah. So there's so much to know about aliens. The group we're going to work with tonight are a high council. And I can give you a little bit of framework for that. There's a program that I've been running called the Human Reformulation Program. And that program is actually an accelerated evolutionary process that was created, engineered, created, and is delivered by a group called the Galactic Center beings. So the Galactic Center beings started coming in, a couple years ago, 2023, so almost 3 years ago now, or was 3 years ago now. And eventually said they wanted to work with people in an intensive format, and they wanted to create this process that people could go through. It's a channeled frequency experience where you receive really strong frequency, and it initiates a process, activates DNA, reawakens 5 ancient energy systems, etc. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, you can go to my website or join my email list. I have information coming soon and another enrollment for that program coming soon. So the Galactic Center beings are about 30 times more evolved than we are. And this is a question I ask a lot of the different beings that come in. So when I am opening to connect, I always set the filter that I am open to connecting to whatever higher vibrational beings have my highest good at heart and the highest good of humanity at heart. And then when I'm encountering galactics and kind of, sussing out who it is I'm talking to and anything I can get about them, one of my measures is, how evolved the group is, because that kind of gives me a scale and it gives me a comparison to the other groups that come in, because there are just so many. So I had, before this group came in, the Galactic Center, I had been working with the Arcturians and Pleiadians, Sirians, Andromedans, and Galactic Federation. They had all been coming in, off and on, and some were delivering a lot of frequency in my groups, my programs. And those groups have said that they're roughly 10 times more evolved than we are. Now, for reference, and this is an interesting point, just for anyone who's watched Disclosure Day, the grays are the beings that you often see in those images of crashes and bodies that were retrieved and whatnot. They're small. Those beings are, and they have the big eyes, and I don't know if that might be a mask of some sort, but those beings are twice as evolved as we are. So they're very close to us, that group. An important thing to note here is that saying that we're evolving doesn't mean we're going to turn into that. I just want to be really clear about that, because each group is on its own evolutionary path, each species. So the human species is going to evolve in its own way. And there are a lot of other galactic groups that look a lot more like us than the grays do. So we aren't going to transform into aliens that look like little grays just because we're evolving. Just be clear about that. So that gives you a sense, though, of comparison of the different groups. So the Galactic Center are, like I said, they're about 30 times more evolved than we are. And they sit on a high council. And this high council is made up of groups that are all at that same kind of evolutionary level. And that's who we're going to be talking with tonight. So I refer to them as the High Council of Multiverses. They've given a lot of information in my energy updates over the last year, I'd say. So a lot of the messages that came in starting December of 2024 were from that High Council. So we have a comment here, Alicia. Hi, Alicia. A question. You've been channeling Isis and Sophia for 20 years. Okay, all right, nice. And Archangels Masters, you just recently had a QHHT session where you met with the Pleiadians and the Galactic Council. And I'm going to say a Galactic Council because there are multiple Galactic Councils out there. Galactics, when they work together, they have alliances, lots of them, and they have councils, right? So there are a lot of councils out there that you'll hear referenced, but it's not all one council. I received information about your mission on Earth. Do you believe some of us are here as volunteers? Absolutely, I do. Yeah. So Dolores Cannon has done some fabulous work, and she talks about volunteers. And I don't know if you're referring to using the term in the same way. I would assume it is because it's pretty well known, that term. People who came to the planet right now to participate in this moment and to assist in the transition that we've been in. That's the transition of the planet and the transition of humanity. So I would imagine there are probably a lot of volunteers here in this group, honestly, because if you're attracted to doing this work, there's a good chance you have some sort of connection like that. But yes, I absolutely do think that there are a lot of people. And Dolores Cannon talks about waves of volunteers that came onto the planet. Her work is absolutely worth looking into if you haven't read it. And Mel's asking, do all the galactic beings you're discussing have a physical form like us or just some? Yeah, no, they don't all have a physical form, especially not like us, right? So we get into, they can all be quite different if they have a physical form, but a lot of them exist just in conscious form. So the Galactic Center beings exist just as a form of consciousness. I think they have said they can take on forms if they choose to, but they don't. That's not their usual state. But then there are a lot of beings that do have a form. It seems to me that the more highly evolved, the less likely they are to have a physical form, the more they seem to exist just in consciousness. And Chandra, hi. Yes, you saw a council, 2025. Okay. You have not been able to speak about it with others because they would call you crazy. Okay, I can relate to that. That's one of the things about this work. It sounds crazy to a lot of people. I was told they didn't speak to me because I wasn't ready yet. Okay, how do I become ready? Well, possibly by being here, to be totally honest. Because if you say you're ready, there could be different answers to that question. So let me back up. It could be that something, maybe you're still going through a process in your own life. Maybe there's something that's opening up for you that needs to still complete. That was in 2025. I would imagine that by now it has completed because we've been in this massive shift. Maybe, something that would come through would have scared you and you weren't ready because of that. There can be really a number of reasons, but if you are ready and you feel ready, then you could put that out there tonight and say, I'm ready to connect with council. I'm ready to receive and have that connection active for me. And they should be able to help you with that tonight. Okay, these are moving quickly here. They took on form, but they didn't look like humans. Yeah, your intuition has increased. So, and I'll just say this quickly. One thing, and that's nice that your intuition has increased. That's a pretty common thing. When we work with frequency in this way and we work with these higher level beings, these are higher intelligences, and they're usually much, the ones we're going to work with are higher forms of consciousness. So it opens things up. It unlocks things. And it doesn't surprise me at all that your intuition has increased quite a bit. I always like to set the intention to only connect to beings that have my highest good at heart. And I also like to set the intention to only connect to beings that are of a higher level, higher intelligence, higher frequency, higher consciousness. Think everything higher, right? So when you are opening to connect, if you're doing this at home on your own, just be sure to do that yourself, to set that intention before you open up. And it's not because these beings we're going to connect with wouldn't have your highest good at heart. It's because there could be other things around. When we're being very open, it's good to create some nice protective filters. Let's see, Jim, Denny Sheehan at the New Paradigm Institute is doing his debut week. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is like an advertisement. So it's sounding like. That's nice, but so how about we don't put that here? Okay, Devika, you're interested to know if they almost always operate from high frequency energy as we fluctuate between high and low frequencies. Yes, well okay, I'm not really sure how to frame that or what the question is, because it sounds like there's an assumption in there, but the galactics are always working from wherever they are. Think of them as at a much higher state, right? And that's their set point. And we have our set point, and our set points are going to depend on the individual, but you're working within a range, and I think that's maybe what you're referring to, that we kind of move between a range. Like we could be in a really nice blissful state in a meditation, accessing higher vibrational states, versus we could be in a conflict with someone, bring up a lot of heavy old anger and frustration, and that's really low vibrational. So we can move back and forth between those. I can't say this for all of them, but they hold at a higher frequency state to begin with. And I'm not sure if they fluctuate within, have a range. That's a good question, but they're staying within the range that would be associated with their set point in the same way that we do. Is an assumption. I could ask about that. I'd have to ask. Alicia. So she's got some suggestions for Chandra. Okay. All right. So these are good questions, you guys. So I think that there is a lot of curiosity around this topic. And if we have time for some questions to them, like that's a good question about, do they fluctuate? We could ask that at the end. I think what we'll go ahead and do, though, just for the sake of time, is get into our channeling and meditation. And I do believe that we'll have a message come through. And then we'll just sit with the silence. And the silence is when the frequency is really strong. So what they've said about these, usually we sit for about an hour. They've said that the frequency builds and peaks at about 20 minutes in and then sustains for the rest of the meditation. So you don't want to leave after the message has come through. You want to sit for that, because that's when you're really getting the frequency. Okay, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Alicia. You can ask for healing. Yes, Esther's asking, and can pets, with two Esthers. One Esther is asking if we can ask for healing, and the answer is yes. And the other Esther is asking if pets can be present. Is it okay for pets to be present in this channeling? Let's ask. Yeah, it's okay. So Jim has information about something related to the film, if people are interested in more information about that. Okay, so I think that's it. We'll go ahead and get started then. So I am going to just lead us into a meditation. This will just be a simple lead-in, the way I usually do when I do the Metatron channeling. So we'll just go into that meditative state. I'm not going to use the tuning fork. They said that wasn't necessary. And then I will connect and just invite in whatever message is coming through. And then we will sit in the frequency, and then I will let you know when it's done. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to make anything happen. The best thing you can do is set the intention to allow, to be, first of all, to be open to the connection, which is really important, and second, to allow. And that means allow your system to adjust, allow your body to take in the frequency that's coming in, allow them to work on you if needed so that you can take in the frequency, all of that. You don't need to be in a meditative state the whole time. If you fall asleep, that's fine. You'll still get the frequency. It's best if you do sit for the whole thing. If you have to leave a little bit early, that's okay. You might want to go back and listen to it again, though, if you do. You do want to stay engaged and present. You don't want to be on your phone or on the computer or anything like that. You really just want to be present. It's okay if you're just doing some like stretching or just relaxing, doing a little bit of artwork. That's always fine. But you just want to stay present and internally focused. All right? Is it safe for everyone as long as highest intentions are set? Yes, it's safe for everyone. There isn't anything that's not safe in listening to these. Let me just make sure that, hold on one second, that children can be present if you have children in the room. Let's see. Yeah, it's fine. So these are not, there are some, like when we do the Human Reformulation Program, we have some restrictions because that's really, really intensive. That's not what this is going to be. This is more, generalized, probably should be lighter, should be something that anybody in the field of humanity could connect with and not have an issue, right? Because that's the intention here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and, okay, yeah, sure. Yep, no worries. And no worries about, you don't need to worry about intentions that you're setting. You can just observe. You can just sit and watch what's happening. In fact, I invite that. I think that's a really good process. One more thing I'll say, if you're new to this, you might get some sensations, you might feel buzzy, you might get emotions coming up, you might feel odd sensations in your body in different places, hot and cold, pressure. You might get a little achy if you've got an area where the energy is not flowing very well, energy is kind of stuck, like a joint or some other issue in your body. So that can be that you get a little pressure there sometimes. If you need to get up and move around, that's fine. If you need to stretch, that's fine. So do whatever you need to do to stay comfortable. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and tune into the breath. We're going to take some nice deep breaths and settle in. So coming fully present into the space. And just noticing the weight of your body in your chair. Maybe moving your body if you're noticing any achiness, allowing yourself to become fully settled and comfortable. And letting go of any of the busyness of the mind. So anything that you've been working out, turning around in your mind, any things that you need to get done, any relational type issues, emotional situations that you've been working through, you want to set those things to the side. You can imagine you're just setting them down beside you. And you can trust that they'll be right there waiting for you when you're ready to pick them back up, if you choose to. So breathing and taking a minute to set those things to the side with intention. Let's take a minute to call our energy back to ourselves. Sometimes when we're out doing lots of things, extending in different directions, our energy gets dispersed and extended here and there. So let's take a minute, just silently say to yourself, I call my energy back from wherever it may have extended. You might feel a nice shift as you do that. And then I like to come into core alignment. So just thinking about this core of energy that extends straight through the center of your body. Your core alignment. So think about pulling your energy back into that core alignment. And breathing into your core, settling in. Allowing yourself to come fully present. Bringing your awareness to your breath. And we can take a moment to set the intention, each one of you, to only connect with beings that have your highest good at heart. right, so I'm welcoming in the High Council, and I'll just have you set the intention to be open to connection with the High Council and to the frequency that they deliver. And you can set the intention to allow your energy to move as needed. I will say sometimes with these very high level groups, when the information comes in, it's a little slower and kind of takes some time to get into the flow with it, so it might take a minute. I'll go ahead and get started. There is a transformation among your global population, a turning of the tides within the conscious awareness around your galactic origins. There is a growing understanding among the global population that you are of galactic nature, that you too are alien in nature, in the same way that you see others. You are not so unlike them. You are moving through your own evolutionary process, and as this process develops further, your understandings will grow, as will the acceptance of these ideas among the population. You must be patient with your fellow humans. You must be patient in your expectations that all will see this as obvious in the same way that you do, that all will be immediately open and excited about these new ideas. For there is sure to be resistance, despite scientific evidence that may be presented. There are many who fear this new reality, for it reshapes their understanding of the world. It reshapes their understanding of who they are as humans. It forces them to see themselves as a species. This is unfamiliar and uncomfortable to many. You must be patient, as they will gradually come into alignment with these new concepts, but there will be a period of time that is required for this to become a majority understanding within the population. You are the forerunners as you step forward, not only in your ideas and your understanding, but also in your frequency, as you will become carriers of this higher frequency. This in turn will affect those that you encounter in your lives. It will be carried into your environments. Think of your offices, think of your schools, think of your shops, your grocery stores. You will be distributing this frequency in all areas. This will assist in pushing the higher awareness of galactic essence within the population, for it will heighten what already exists. It will amplify the frequencies that are already present within the population. They will feel this truth arising within themselves as a result. It is not necessary for you to explain to everyone that you are carrying this frequency, what this is about. You will find that there are many who are not prepared for this type of information, but they do not need to hear the information for them to receive frequency, for them to share in what is being passed along. And it is not necessary for them to understand how this process is happening in order for the spark to ignite within them as a result of having received. There is a remembrance that will return as this spark ignites. There is a remembrance that will tell each and every one that yes, this feels true. There is an understanding, a felt understanding, as if it is known deeply within the being, within the human. That will resonate with truth as it is arising. You may look in the mirror and see yourselves as a species evolving. You may recognize yourselves in this way. As you accept these new concepts, ideas, you open to greater possibilities. The possibilities and potentials that are ahead become more tangible to you when you understand that you too are an evolving species that can indeed reach higher states of expression. that does not need to remain mired in the old ways, in what was known, what was comfortable, that you may move past this to new ways of understanding yourselves and interacting with one another, that you may create a new foundation, founded in this understanding, one that looks towards the future with a progressive perspective on what is possible, that seeks to find solutions, that seeks to find harmony, that seeks to create a world in which you would like to be living, a society that pleases you, and a human expression that aligns with your higher principles, for you know these principles within, you each carry them within. You know them. When you hear them, you feel them resonate within you. There is no reason to believe that it is not possible to attain a state of living in alignment with higher principles, so that everything expressed within your society reflects these principles. You have experienced quite a jump in your evolutionary process. Many of you are feeling this, seeing that many things are changing quickly in your surroundings, perhaps in your own life, perhaps in what you are watching on the news. You have understood that things do not stay the same and that change is happening at quite a rapid pace. You may harness this change, this accelerated process that is underway. You may direct it into the areas in which you would like to see this change. Think of this as harnessing a force that is moving and will continue to move in whatever direction you direct it. You may harness this force by choosing, with intention, to bring it into one area or another. You may ask for assistance. You may ask for guidance in how to do this, what it would look like, what steps should be taken, how should it be communicated with others. There are many among you, many galactics, who assist you, who guide your process, and who are very available should you ask for their assistance. Do not be discouraged when you see that there are many among you who have not yet understood that you are not alone in the cosmos. Do not be discouraged because there are many who know. The knowledge is awakening, the remembrance is awakening, and it will spread. Okay, you can begin bringing yourselves back and just take your time. So bring awareness to the weight of your body, maybe to your feet on the floor. Wiggle fingers, toes, get some movement going. And if you prefer to stay where you are, that's fine. But it was a lot. It's been a while. So for those who joined after we started, this was a channeling, and the beings coming through were it's a high council of multiverses. They had a message for us at the beginning, and I'm going to go ahead and invite in responses while I do this little recap. So if you, I would love to hear what you experienced. I felt like that was quite strong, quite intense energy. It still feels strong. And it may continue to feel strong because we're also in this solstice period, so that might carry over a bit for you. Often you can feel a lot of intensity for a little while right around the time of the transmission, and then you might crash later. You might be exhausted tomorrow or the next day. Just keep that in mind. So there were a few things I was going to say, but I'll just invite people to put in the comments their experiences. I know it takes a minute to kind of bring yourself back and be ready to start talking again, but if you're ready, I would love to hear what this felt like for you. Oh, Maria, you said you're so intense you feel like you're coming out of anesthesia. Yeah, it felt very intense. It felt very intense. So I was asking, okay, a few things I asked. I asked how many beings were with us. It was 278. And they were all different beings of the groups who were represented on this high council. So they were all bringing through the frequency and working on you directly. I asked, in addition to, we talked at the beginning about how this is about bringing these frequencies into the field of humanity, ultimately to shift that field. So it's about the collective, but each individual gets a lot of benefit. And I was asking what the benefit to the individual was, or what was being done with the individuals. And they said they were raising the base frequency of each individual. So you may have felt some movement in your core. It felt like there was, there was a lot going on throughout. So very curious still to hear what you all experienced. Everyone's very quiet, so go ahead and pop it in the chat. So shifting the baseline frequency now, if you have already done the human reformulation, that doesn't apply to you because you're already working at a much higher frequency. So it's for people who haven't done the reformulation. That's what was happening. And on that note, the reformulation is the program that's an accelerated evolutionary program delivered by beings of this level, Galactic Center beings, and it activates DNA and awakens 5 dormant energy systems. And if you're interested in that, you can go to my website, soulslight.net, or you can, and my website is on my profile here. You can sign up for my email list and you'll find out more about that. I have an enrollment coming up in July for that program. There was one other thing I was going to tell you. Darn, I think I lost it. It'll come back. This will be posted on my YouTube channel. And I do have a short video series there just about galactics and my experience with galactics so far. I'll definitely be adding to that. That's a new series just to give more information from the perspective of my experiences. But certainly check that out if you haven't. What else? Gosh, what was it? Oh, I know. I asked the question about frequency that was raised when we were getting underway. If galactics maintain a one frequency all the time, compared to how we fluctuate between frequencies, and so they said we have essentially a set range of frequencies that we fluctuate between, and there are some galactics who are also that way, and then there are others who don't have a fixed range, meaning that they could actually fluctuate in a quite wider spectrum of frequencies. So we're kind of sitting within a fixed range, was their description of that. What's possible for us. Okay, everyone is so quiet. Am I missing something? What did you guys think? What was your experience? What are you feeling? Did anything jump out at you? Hey, Kelsey, you felt a lot of tingling on your scalp at the beginning. Interesting. You went into a deep meditation with thoughts that were very profound in the moment that you can't seem to remember. No problem. Yeah, it was intense. Anastasia, you felt as if you're slightly above your physical body and felt a shaking back and forth. Okay, that's strong. I put my attention to understand if the bed under me is shaking, but no, was on an energetic level. Yeah, wow, that is intense. As I was trying to understand what is happening, the feeling disappeared. That was very interesting to observe. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Very interesting. And Madeline, I intend to receive the transmission a few hours later because we had the fan on to cool the apartment. I trust that it is well and works based on previous Q&A. Yeah, well, that sounds fine. Yeah. And Renelle, very intense. You felt a different frequency and energy. You fell asleep. Yeah, I wonder how many people fell asleep. Just put it in the chat if you fell asleep or felt like you were like in a deep like trance state, because that can happen as well. Hey, Lulu. Oh, you caught the last 10 minutes. Darn. Well, it'll be on YouTube, so you can watch it. And in the community, people in my community, there's a channeling library that I keep in my community. And if you're interested in the community, that's on my website. I post all of these in that channeling library. So those in the community will have access to it ad-free in the channeling library. Devika, it was very powerful and intense. Initially, loads of goosebumps. Interesting. And as the meditation progressed, beams of white light pouring downward first, and low rays of light, blue light. Oh, yes. Your head was very itchy. Interesting. Tears had to tap on legs and collarbone areas to ground yourself. Wow, yeah, that was intense too. These are great, you guys. I love hearing all of this. It's so it's good for me to hear, and I think it's good for everybody else who's here. Mel, you feel exhausted. Yeah, that can happen. It's strong frequency. And I have found, when something is really strong for your system, it can sometimes overwhelm you a bit to the, like, it'll put you to sleep, or you might just go into a really deep trance state. And like I was saying, you might be exhausted afterwards. Definitely drink a lot of water. It can flush things out. One thing I was going to mention about that base frequency shifting is that can also bring things up for you, like in a healing sense, but it's more of a cleansing and purging sense sometimes. So it could feel like a lot of emotion comes up. You could have even some physical things coming up, so just be aware of that. Liz, very sleepy trance, also very thirsty. Yep, okay. Teresa fell asleep. Liz says she still feels it. Yeah, I still feel it. It's still very strong. Yeah. Definitely wanting water. Elle felt in deep state, maybe sleep. Yeah, not so sure. Ringing in head and some body sensations. Okay. And Madeline, about half an hour ago, it started raining and thunderstorms rolled in. Oh, well, that's kind of nice. Feels like it's supporting for energy cleanse and energy change, shifting in the collective. That's nice. Yeah, I love a good storm like that. Johnny says, thank you. Feel very tired and fell in and out of sleep a lot. Yeah. Okay, you guys. Guessed. That's Pern, I think. Such beautiful colors. Oh, great. Pern. Blue with orange bursting into the blue. Then blue and lots of pink. Blue, violet, purple, and then more pink. Very warm. How nice. That sounds so lovely. I wish I got colors. I don't ever see colors. Pern does. If anybody else saw colors, I'd love to hear. Felt like I was in a room all of a sudden. Oh, that's interesting. Very curious. All right, let's see what else. What else? You guys keep it coming. This is so interesting. Esther said, deep relaxation in areas where I had pain. Oh, that's nice. Started cool and became warm. Isn't that interesting? A lot of people feel that temperature in the energy during transmissions. So, if you feel like there's just a lot of pressure, Mel's asking if I saw anything. Did I see anything? I did see something at one point that I wanted to share. What was it? Oh, I know. It was during the message. There was that part, sort of near the end, about directing. How did they put it? It was like directing if you wanted to change something. Like now we have the opportunity, there's this momentum of change. And I was seeing this sort of like momentum of like strong movement. And then this sense that you could take that movement and put it wherever you wanted. Like, so they were saying you could direct this into different areas of your life and really create change quickly right now. And so I was seeing this as almost like a thing you could take and mold and say, push it this direction and push it that direction. So I did, yeah, that came through. And I'm sure there were other things, but I don't remember them now. But I did want to share that. Thanks for reminding. What was I going to say? Oh, if you feel a lot of pressure around your head that's kind of sticking or staying around, you can do, this is the trick I do for the 6th chakra and the 7th chakra, because it can, if there's a block in one of those, the pressure can kind of build. So the easiest way to correct it is just to flip your hand, and you can put right on your body at first, and then just slowly move out into the field, but keep flipping, because what you're working on is the polarity. We don't need to get too detailed on that, but basically you're just moving out in the range of the chakra itself until you're about 18 inches off the body, and correcting the layers of the chakra so the energy is flowing in and out. You can also do figure 8s and then just come all the way out with those figure 8s. That can also help keep energy moving and flowing the way that it needs to. So you do the same thing here. That's at your 7th. You could do it at your 5th if you want. You can also do figure 8s on the power point, which is at the base of the skull, top of the spine. It's that indentation there. If you do figure 8s, just a nice rub, just drawing little figure 8s with your fingers. That can help keep things moving. This is a spot where energy enters and leaves. And it can get a little clogged sometimes. And Chandra says you have a headache on your left eye. Yeah, so in that case, you could also work around the eyes. Figure eights around your eyes, nice and slow. I like to trace with just one finger. And you can pull that out over the eye as well. So try some of those things. Oh, thank you, Michelle, for that donation. Thank you to everyone who donated. I do appreciate that. And Madeline, that sounds amazing with the molding and directing energy for change. Yeah. Yeah, that was an exciting part. And, just a lot of emphasis on this being optimistic about the changes that are happening, greater understandings in the population about our galactic origins, that's going to grow. It didn't feel like it's going to happen right away. Like, give it some months was my sense. But, it could be that by the time we enter 2027, there's been a palpable shift in the way people are seeing things. I was kind of getting that sense. And Sharon, are there any energy healing restrictions? Oh yeah, great question. Nope, they're saying no restrictions. How about that? That's different. That's nice. Chandra, you feel the energy while doing the figure eights. Yeah, you should feel that moving around. Oh, hi, Mike. Hey, we're so happy to see that you're continuing these meditations in the second chapter. Yeah, good to see you. Very strong energy tonight. Yep, you're welcome. Thank you, Renelle. Yeah, very exciting. So I was thinking also, so I am going to do these. The intention is once a month. Of course, sometimes something comes up. I may have to miss a month here or there. But I suspect, the way they were working tonight on the base frequency, that if you continue to do these, you'll get some significant frequency shifts. So stick with me. Pern, has anyone seen the Galactic Center beings? Felt like I was in the room with them. I couldn't see faces, but it felt like I was. I have felt them, yeah, quite a few times. And when I've seen them, they've shown up as really like little sparks of light. I don't see a form, but they're very fast. They move around very quickly, and there is an intensity to their energy. Okay. Yeah, very intense. Yeah, how about that? So exciting. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed this and that you had an experience. I mean, really, that's the objective here, is for you all to have your own experience. There isn't one that's better than the other. There isn't one right experience. If you didn't have what someone else had, doesn't mean you didn't get it, or you didn't receive, or that you did something wrong, right? You just have your experience. It's whatever it is. And just be, observe, because you could have things coming up over the next few days or even the next couple weeks. Usually these take a little time to fully integrate. Let me see what they say about that. "12 days is what they're saying. So yeah, a little time to integrate. So I would imagine that over that time, and even after that, you could still be getting some of the stuff coming up. So just be aware, old emotions, old patterns. This is a time of purging and cleansing right now. So embrace it. If it comes up, it's good. You don't want to take it into July. Esther, your cat stayed with you on your lap the entire time and purred intensely. Oh, sweet. That's nice. Okay, I think that's it then for tonight. Thank you for joining me. And this is exciting, an exciting new beginning. We'll see where we go. So follow me here to get the notification of the next one, or join my email list because I always send it out. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. It's great to see you all again. Take care. Oh, can you do acupuncture? Yes, yeah, they said no problem with no restrictions. So very different now. It's great. Makes it a lot easier. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Bye-bye.